When I was a child, I believed happiness came in sweet, simple things. Chocolate melting on my tongue, frosting on birthday cakes, and the way my parents smiled when I was laughing. I used to think, when I'm older, I'll have endless chocolate, cake every day, and I'll be the happiest person alive. I waited eagerly for that magical adulthood where joy would be mine on demand. No one warned me. No one said that growing up was more about searching than finding. I had no idea that one day all that sweetness would lose its flavor, and that happiness could disappear. Time passed, and with it the magic faded. I grew up, as we all do, and one day I found myself standing in front of a refrigerator stocked with desserts I once begged for. Chocolate cake, mousse, ice cream. I had it all, but something strange happened. I didn't want it. I wasn't excited. That childlike thrill? Gone, replaced with a strange emptiness. I thought maybe I was tired. Maybe I needed more. That's when the voice inside whispered, "Get something bigger, something real. A car, a house. That's where happiness lives now." So I listened and I went looking. I chased every desire like a man starving in a feast. I bought the sleek car, black and humming like power on wheels. I got the big house, the one with echoing rooms and polished floors. I even found someone to love, or thought I did. I had all the check boxes marked, everything they said would complete me. And yet, night after night, I stared at the ceiling wondering why I still felt so hollow. My thoughts were loud. My heart was quiet. Something wasn't right. The things I owned started to own me. My dream had become a cage. The car was no longer a luxury, it was a burden. Maintenance bills piled up, traffic became torture. And the house? It was big, yes. But it echoed with silence, the kind that follows you down empty hallways and asks questions you don't want to answer. My relationship, once filled with laughter, became a battlefield of blame and misunderstanding. And the children, if only someone had told me how much fear love brings. Fear of losing them, of failing them. I thought I'd reached the summit of happiness, but the air was thin, and I was suffocating. Something had to change. I started asking questions, quiet ones at first. Whispered thoughts in the shower or on long, sleepless nights. Why am I not happy? Why does everything feel wrong? I didn't want to believe that I had climbed the wrong mountain, but every answer led back to me. Not my job, not my partner, not my kids or my past. Me. It felt like staring into a mirror I'd avoided for years. And then one day, as I scrolled endlessly online, I heard a voice. Not mine, not even real, just a clip. You don't need to fix the world, just understand your mind. That sentence changed everything. It didn't solve my problems, but it opened a door, a new path. I began reading about emotions, about attachment, about how the mind works. I learned that desire is a fire. Feed it and it grows, starve it and it calms. I realized I'd spent my whole life chasing shadows, thinking they were light. Every goal I reached faded the moment I touched it. But now I was chasing something different. I wasn't trying to get more. I was trying to understand why I always felt like less. That shift, quiet and invisible, was my revolution. At first, it was confusing. My mind wasn't used to being observed. It reacted like a child being watched, squirming, hiding, pretending. I'd catch myself feeling angry or jealous, and instead of acting on it, I'd pause. I'd ask, where did that come from? The answer was never outside of me. Not the guy who cut me off in traffic, not the rude comment. It was my interpretation, my conditioning, my scars. Slowly, I began to see the patterns. My emotions were messengers, not enemies. And I was the one giving them the power to rule me or free me. I started meditating, not the fancy kind, just sitting still for 5 minutes, watching my breath, listening to my thoughts without grabbing them. It was awkward. My mind rebelled. But something strange happened. In those moments, I felt a flicker of peace. Not the loud joy of chocolate cake or the rush of buying something new. This was subtle, like a breeze on a hot day. It didn't last long, but it felt real, and that was enough to keep me going. I began to understand happiness wasn't a place or a possession, it was a practice, a choice. The more I watched my mind, the more I saw how it worked. Thoughts rose and fell like waves, emotions clashed like weather fronts. But beneath all of it, there was something still. Something I'd never noticed before. Awareness. I wasn't just my thoughts, I was the one noticing them. That realization shook me. I had spent years trying to fix the external world, but my real home, the mind, had been left in chaos. like renovating a house while ignoring the fire in the basement. I had to go deeper. I had to face what I feared most, myself. And that's when the transformation truly began. I no longer ran from discomfort. I leaned into it. When I felt lonely, I sat with it. When anger came, I explored it. Where did it live in my body? What memory was it protecting? It wasn't easy. Sometimes it felt like drowning in silence. But slowly, clarity emerged. I started recognizing the lies I'd told myself, stories of not being enough, of needing more to feel worthy. They unraveled thread by thread, revealing something unexpected beneath. Not pain, not shame, but peace. A quiet kind of peace I never knew I needed. I stopped searching for happiness in places it didn't live, no longer in shopping carts or compliments or weekend escapes. I turned inward, and each time I did, I found a little more of myself. I realized that peace isn't dramatic. It doesn't crash into your life with fireworks. It arrives slowly, like dawn seeping through curtains. I learned to listen to my breath, to be present in small moments, a warm cup of tea, a smile from a stranger, the quiet hum of life. I stopped needing everything to be perfect. I just needed it to be real. That was enough. But don't mistake this for a miracle. The journey didn't smooth out like a fairy tale. My emotions still ambushed me. I'd wake up anxious without reason. Sometimes sadness sat beside me like an old friend. But now I didn't push it away. I let it speak. I let it stay until it was ready to leave, and it always left. That's what I'd never understood before. Emotions are temporary. Even the worst ones pass. It's our resistance that makes them linger. I didn't need to control them. I just had to stop letting them control me. That was liberation. People around me noticed the change. Not because I preached or posted quotes online, but because I started living differently. I listened more, I reacted less, I didn't need to win arguments, I didn't need to be right all the time, and slowly my relationships shifted. Some people grew closer, others drifted away. It hurt, yes, but even that pain was different now. Softer. I understood that not everyone is meant to stay. And that's okay. Everyone is fighting battles we cannot see, including me. But now I fight mine with awareness, not with weapons. That has made all the difference. One evening, I stood outside watching the sunset, something I used to ignore. The sky was ablaze with orange and purple, and for the first time in years, I felt a tear roll down my cheek. Not from sadness, but from gratitude, for being alive, for surviving the storm inside me, for finally realizing that happiness was never something to be earned. It was something to be allowed. I had been running my whole life, from fear, from pain, from silence. But in that stillness, I found everything I was looking for, and it was never far. It was me. There was a time I thought I needed to be extraordinary to be happy. I chased achievements, collected trophies, built a highlight reel for the world to see, but none of it made me feel whole. Now I find more joy in folding laundry than I ever did in applause. I smile at the sound of rain, the feeling of breath filling my lungs, the simple act of waking up. Life hasn't become easier. I've just become quieter, more aware. I don't chase happiness now. I welcome it when it visits and let it go when it leaves, and I'm okay. Some days are still hard. There are moments when the old voices return, telling me I'm not enough, that I should be doing more, earning more, becoming more. But now I see them for what they are, echoes, not truths. I meet them with kindness, not panic. I've built a refuge within myself, a space untouched by external noise. And in that space, I'm learning to rest. Not just sleep, but rest. The kind that renews the soul. For years, I searched for happiness like it was buried treasure, but it was never hidden. I just wasn't looking in the right place. I remember a quote I once read, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." Back then, it sounded poetic. Now it feels real. I no longer see myself as a victim of circumstances, but a creator of experience. The way I interpret life shapes how I live it. I may not control what happens, but I choose how to see it. That's power. That's freedom. And freedom, I've learned, is the birthplace of joy. I still stumble. I still bleed. But now I know how to heal. That makes all the difference. Every experience, every disappointment, heartbreak, and failure was a teacher. Each one pointed me back to myself. I used to think suffering was unfair. Now I see it as a signal, not punishment, but a guidepost saying, look deeper. And when I did, I found patterns, beliefs, wounds I'd ignored. Healing them wasn't easy. It never is. but every scar now glows like a reminder that I am still here, still trying, still growing. That in itself is beautiful. I don't need a perfect life to feel whole. I just need to be present in the one I have. That's enough. Sometimes I wonder what I'd tell my younger self, the one who thought chocolate and cake were the keys to heaven. I'd kneel beside him, smile gently, and say, "One day you'll understand. Happiness isn't something you get, it's something you uncover, inside you." He might not believe me, but that's okay. Some things you can only learn by living, and I've lived, I've broken, I've rebuilt, I've cried and laughed and fallen and risen. And through it all, I've finally come to understand that real happiness is not loud or flashy, it's quiet, and it's always, always within reach. So now, when people ask me, "Are you happy?" I don't say yes or no. I smile and say, "I'm here." Because being fully here, in this breath, this body, this moment, is the greatest happiness I've ever known. I no longer wait for something to happen to feel alive. I no longer seek validation in others. I walk gently with myself, knowing that every step forward is sacred. I've stopped chasing and started being. And in that stillness, I've discovered something I searched the world for. Peace, not because life is perfect, but because now I finally understand myself.